And I do believe we are live. Ah, bloody hell. It keeps saying that it's spam. You might have to copy and paste. Okay, check the private chat. Hello, Win is something.
Hey, Zippo. How's it going?
Nah, not too bad. How about yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
I keep getting this thing saying that I can't share the link. It's trying to say that it's spam, and I forget how I did it last time. So, just trying to sort that out. Yeah, bloody hell. Kind of a hassle. Were you able to just go through the private chat to get it?
No, I just copy pasted it in a window, whatever you posted.
Yeah, that might be the only way to do it at this point. All this high-tech stuff is not my jam. So, let me try just doing it manually. Sorry, everybody. Pain in the butt. Yeah, you might have to do it manually at this point. I don't know if that's going to show up as a proper link or not. So, hopefully. So I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, it's been busy.
Yeah, life's getting back to normal around there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Still working plenty.
Oh yeah, work and family stuff, and yep, it's been very busy.
Good to hear.
Yeah, work and family stuff, and yep, it's been very busy.
Somebody's got their mic on something. Thomas, how are you doing, sir?
Hi, Zippo. You well? How are you doing this afternoon?
Yeah, I literally just got in the door 10 minutes ago.
Oh, you've been out. You've been having a busy weekend.
Yeah.
Hi, NS. Hi, Watchers and Giggles. You well?
Hey, Thomas. How's it going?
Good to hear you, my friend. You well?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
Hello, folks in the chat.
Yeah, hi, everyone in the chat.
Glad to have you all.
Junie Johnson, as always, my friend. Williams Watches, Rajiv Maraj, Hans Knees and Toes, Danger Will Robinson, Megan Arthur, GMT Master. What a win for the Arsenal yesterday, eh? Through to the FA Cup, yes. Clam Walker, HBA, Orange Hand, how you doing? Yeah. David Williams.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, Blue Shirt, you're with us now. Good to hear you.
Yeah. Hey guys.
Hey, Blue Shirt.
Hey, how's it going, NS? Happy birthday, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, going
well.
Glad you're with us again.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Did you have a good birthday?
Yeah. I mean, as good as it can be during these times. But yeah.
As good as it gets.
How's it going, flipping?
Yeah, not too bad. Almost was late, but
yeah, no worries, man. No worries. Did you get my text yesterday?
I did. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm terrible at responding to text and everything. I was working yesterday, working this morning. So,
no worries, man. No worries. I just wanted to make sure you got the message.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Watches and Giggles, if you're, welcome to come back for sure. So, Bud to Stud, how you doing?
Hi
Hey
there,
everybody
bud.
in the chat. I'm on the I'm on my phone, so I don't see the chat. But
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
everybody,
me
welcome.
too.
All right. Do we want to jump into whatever you guys want to show on your phones?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, why don't we do that? You want to go
Why not?
first, Thomas?
Sure, I'll just arrange my camera. There we go. So, got some more prototypes from Aragon.
Nice.
Aragon watches. I've got a lovely laser champagne dial Parma 2, which is this lovely green sort of tinge. This is not a left-hand drive like the other model I got. This is, as I say, got this lovely green tinge. And looks beautiful on the wrist. I'll just show you quickly. Really nice on the wrist. I just removed a few links, and then I got a really nice one on this 4th of July themed. I put it on this 4th of July themed NATO strap. I removed the bracelet. This one's got an amazing dial. This is the silicon crystal dial, and if I can get the lights to just show off some of that amazing sparkle. It's got a really nice, really nice textured dial which catches the light, and I think you're due one of these as well, Zippo. I think there's one in the pipeline for you as well.
Yeah, I believe so. It is actually. I know it is.
Yes, exactly.
But I think this is the exact model, so I would recommend you get this on the NATO because it's great. I mean, they're using the Seiko NH35. If I just Seiko NH.
I thought that was a Bastille Day NATO.
Yeah, Bastille Day, 4th of July NATO, Union Jack NATO.
It's international.
Tricolor, Stars and Stripes. You can also alternate the theme of the NATO to wherever you're from. So
that works.
But it's a gorgeous one. I love this one. I'll just do a quick wrist shot with that one.
Cool.
Definitely pops, Thomas. Definitely pops.
Yeah, you can see that one. I love this on the NATO. I think it looks great.
It does, yeah.
Very nice.
Very cool watch.
You like that, Chris?
Yeah, that's a crazy
Nice.
dial on it.
Yeah, it's got lovely sparkly texture to it, hasn't it?
It really does. I love the orange accent too.
On the minute hand, on the second hand, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and the date wheel as well.
Yeah, just the framed date window.
Yep.
And what's that on the counterbalance on the second hand? Is that
That's the logo? The
Okay.
logo, yeah, for Aragon. Yeah.
Very nice.
Sorry,
Yeah, it's nice.
saying blank screen. Is there something wrong? Is anybody else having issues?
No, I see him fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing all right as well.
Okay, good to hear.
You got Tom's full screen, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I was going to, now that I've shown you my watch, I was just going to show you my book recommendation for the week, seeing as we're on a chronograph stream, which is Chasing Time by Alistair Gibbons. A great book, this one. Absolutely great. Full of retro chronographs.
Nice.
Oh, very cool.
Going in alphabetical order. So we work our way through from A to Z with a whole host of beautiful chronographs here from 60s, 50s, 80s, 70s. Beautiful watches. I can't recommend this book enough. I know that Orange Hand featured it on the Discord in the book club, and it was one of his favorites. And it really is a cracking book. There's some beautiful chronographs featured in this. I can't recommend it highly enough.
Yeah, all right.
Just
Find that.
This one was a gift from a friend.
Nice.
It's a
Very nice.
beautiful book. Some lovely images in it. Just a bit about each watch, and so this one's a little bit more expensive than the one I recommended last week, which was £5 second hand. This one's new, was about £30, I think.
Mm.
Highly recommended. So yeah, this one's all chronographs, and it's called Chasing Time.
Very nice.
So that's my book recommendation.
Right.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Thomas. Very cool.
Yeah, very
Oh,
nice.
very nice.
So I think Bruce has got a watch to Blue Shirt's got a watch to show you as well.
I do indeed. Let me just get my camera. There we go. That's another really nice Aragon with a beautiful light blue dial, blue bezel. Well, I haven't put the NATO on just only because I love this bracelet. It's really, really nice. Let me see how close I can get. Same NH35 movement. Just a really, really sharp looking watch.
Dig
Perfect
that.
every day.
Yeah.
What do one of those cost, Blue Shirt? I'm pretty naive to this brand, so I'm not too familiar with it.
They're in like the $200 range, give or take.
Okay,
So they're not going to break the bank.
gotcha.
Let me put this down for a second and give you a wrist shot. Very nice bracelet.
Yeah, very cool. I love that blue colored dial.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a real showstopper. Especially if you love blue dials like me.
Oh yeah.
And the blue bezel is also very nice. Nice bezel action. Hacks in hand and winds. It's a NH35. It'll run forever. It's pretty accurate. Just a really, really nice watch. And like I said, I would put it on the NATO, but I just love this bracelet so much.
That is nice.
I love the raised center links. Just very comfortable. It's a little bit of a, it's a decent size watch. It's 45 mil, but it wears very. It is compact lug to lug, and it sits very nicely on the wrist. Chris, you should have no problems with one of these with an 8-inch wrist.
I'll be able to pull it off. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a cool watch. I really like it.
Yeah, it's nice. I really, really like it.
Where can you find one of those, Blue Shirt, Bruce? Where can you pick one up?
You can get them on Amazon, I believe, and you can get them directly from the Aragon site.
Oh, okay.
So it's aragon.com.
Yeah, I wasn't hip to I wasn't hip to this brand.
Yeah, it's they're a cool brand. Very, very cool.
They are.
Lots of very bright colors on the dials. Lots of different styles. And their watches generally are 45 mil and then 50. So if you like the bigger watches, yeah, they make some 50s. Yep. But the 45s are plenty big.
Yeah,
so
now, are those watches you can mod, or that's not really this kind of watch's forte to mod it?
I'm not sure. I don't think that this is a.
Gotcha.
This is what it's not like a Seiko SKX where there's lots of mod parts available. Yeah.
Hey,
and then just quickly, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask because it's got like a almost cushion-like case. Is 45 like the diameter like from 9 to 3, or is it like from like 1
it's like
to
7 to
7? Some 7 to 2?
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So with that case shape, it must still be reasonable if you have a smaller wrist, right?
It is. I mean, Thomas has a smaller wrist than I do, and it looks perfectly fine on his wrist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because with cushion style cases, right, a 45 will actually wear a little bit smaller usually. So yeah, you shouldn't be too scared about that number.
No, not at all. And I think it's about 15 or so high, thick, but it's really nice on the wrist. So I wouldn't worry about that either.
Very nice.
Yep.
And then quickly for my book, I know Logan had mentioned it the other week, but I had my copy handy, so I just wanted to show everybody. Man's Watch, great watch book. Comes in the sleeve, and then the book itself. Really, really nice. Just very interesting, great photography. You can read this book in a couple hours. It's just a bunch of short stories about a particular man and his journey with this particular watch and what it means to him. So just very nice, very interesting. Some cool stories in here. And, I recommend this to everybody. It's just got a nice variety. There's some modern watches. There's some vintage watches. Just a really, really great book. I'm sure a lot of people have it already, but, just a very, I find when I'm bored, I'll pull it out and just, read a story or two, just because it's so interesting.
Yep, I've read it twice. Have the book myself.
Yeah, isn't it a great book, Chris?
Oh yeah, the pictures are outstanding, like you said as well, and the short stories are fun.
Yeah, amazing photography in it, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
It is.
They did a great job.
Yeah, it's a great book.
So that's it.
Lovely little book. Great suggestion, Blue Shirt.
All right, I'm gonna hop off my phone and I'll get on the computer.
Sounds good.
Sure. We'll see you in a minute.
All right.
Okay, I'll show off the book that I didn't know enough about until I got it.
Yeah, please. Wow, that's a hefty one.
5.7 pounds, 500 pages.
Wow.
You could use it as a weapon, Flippo.
Whoa. Look at that one. So the watch book.
The watch book compendium.
Wow.
2 books in one, essentially. I when I ordered it online, it was I didn't look at the weight, the shipping weight, so I didn't realize it was going to be this hefty. It's the author Gilbert Brunner. Don't know who that is, but it's got some heft to it. There's hundreds and hundreds of pictures in this. Like, you've got your brand, you've got all your brands covered. I've barely scratched the surface of this one, obviously. Like write-ups, just typical book. Great photography in it. I don't know if I'd recommend it yet until I get through it some more. But yeah, it's got some heft to it.
Yeah, it looks like a thick one. Was that an expensive one then, Zippo?
$80
Wow.
on Amazon. So not the cheapest, but
So obviously quite a quality package then.
yeah. And again, 2 books combined into one, so covers a lot of ground.
2 for the price of 1.
Yeah, Megan, this is both of them, the compendium, both into one. So
Hey guys.
So we've got a few book suggestions there. So yeah, have you got any book suggestions, watches and giggles? You read any good books you can show us? Or
I don't, unfortunately. The one I would have showed you, Blue Shirt already did. So
Yeah.
I don't have a whole bunch of watch books laying around, unfortunately.
oh, it's
Sorry.
fine. No
Sorry,
pressure.
Sorry, I stole your thunder.
No worries, man. No worries.
Yeah.
I have a few tucked away, but I'd have to go digging for them. So
Yeah. No problem. Next time.
and everybody's, I'm sure, already got them on the Discord.
Yeah, it's just good to show them and show them on the stream and give a bit of a bit more visual description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call this a coffee table book.
Absolutely, yeah. More a library book.
Jeez,
A library reference, not reference book.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Oh. So what else should we like to get into?
Well, it's a chronograph stream we were talking about, weren't we?
It is.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you have any suggestions, NS? Did you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I came up with a list, but it's not a crazy complete list. I figured on these streams we always have so many suggestions from the people in the chat.
Yeah. Sure.
So I figured I wouldn't, even though I do have about 10 or 15 prepared, but I figured let's queue up a few and go through them, and then go through some audience suggestions.
Good idea.
And so since every single watch YouTuber out there is talking about the CQ,
Mm-hmm.
I figured we could start with some Glasuta original watches. So I'm going to queue up a couple in the chat. So I also tried to have a selection of sports watches, expensive watches, not so expensive watches, so we can go through it. But please, at any point in time, if you have any suggestions, that would be great.
Yep.
So let me queue a couple of these in the private chat first.
And I must say, this is a personal interest to me.
Yeah, I mean,
Being my-
Glasuta Original are getting a lot more press recently, aren't they? I mean, they're getting a lot more attention in the Discord. I noticed, seeing as Tom Austin bought his CQ.
Yes. What an
Mm,
amazing looking watch.
Beautiful
Yeah.
watch, that, isn't it? Yeah. I noticed Bark and Jack's just done a video saying, would you rather have a Rolex or a CQ? And,
Yeah, I think the CQ is opening a lot of doors for them. You know, I don't make it a secret that I really like dress watches, but the reality is that sports watches are very popular. So, and especially a diver, right? That kind of opens it up for them. And so I wanted to start with Glasuta Original again because they're getting a lot of press, but also their movements are really good, and their production numbers are pretty low every year. So it's a really nice watch. And this is not really a sports watch. It's in the Senator line, but if you scroll down, you'll see that you can get it on a bracelet. It is a very nice movement, and it's just a nice, fun watch. It's available in different dials, different metals. It has their big date with the 2 discs on the same plane. It's a really cool watch, and they have made very nice chronographs in the past, and their movements are always pretty bang on. So.
Very nice. It's a lovely watch. It really is.
Yeah, stunning.
I like the big date at 6 o'clock. That's great. That's a nice feature.
Yep. And in their older Senator sports line, they used to make a chronograph. So maybe in the CQ, we'll eventually see some other complications other than just the date. So who knows? Maybe we'll see.
Yeah,
one in
that's
the
an
future.
interesting point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the CQ line could do with a bit of expansion, maybe into going into GMTs or chronographs, like you say.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Be interesting to see what they do.
They're definitely not cheap retail, but always consider that you'll get a hefty discount when purchasing one of those. So.
Now, what?
Sorry, Blue Shirt.
No, go ahead. I was just agreeing.
No, I think it's Watches and Giggles that was about to.
Sorry, Watches and Giggles. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry about that, guys. No, I was just asking, what's the price tag on that one?
So I think when it's 18,000, but that's Canadian. I'm not sure how much it is in the US, but look, it's definitely going to be cheaper in the US. But for that kind of watch, your starting position should be a DAD brand new 25%.
Gotcha.
Right? So, and you could go for more than that.
Oh, shit.
And the next one I had queued up is a slightly different variant. So they do have their chronographs and a lot of different watches. And I thought they have it in their 70s square case watch model. And I thought that's kind of cool, right, as an alternative chronograph.
Yeah, I like square case models. I mean, that's lovely, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That is.
Yep. And hello, Rich Buddy.
Hi, Rich Buddy.
I know Rich Buddy said Rolex, but so I think we should talk about what this stream is, right? A part of when coming up with the idea for a chronograph stream, the idea was we always hear about the same 4 or 5 chronographs all the time, right? Mm-hmm. We hear about the Daytona. Nothing wrong with it. We hear about the Speedmaster, also nothing wrong with it. And you hear about the, the Zenith, right? But you never hear about all these other chronographs. So
absolutely, yeah.
That was part of the point here.
Exactly.
And yeah, another nice chronograph. Pretty much similar movement. This is not a shape movement, but it's their like vintage collection. They have a 70s and they have a 60s version. It's another fun chronograph. The 70s and 60s though collections have really cool dials, like a lot of different colors and a lot of different textures.
Yeah.
So if you want something cool, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's like the Panamatic 60s, isn't it? They've got a great series of coloured dials, and the glasses are obviously very good on the dials, and brought it to different ranges.
Mm-hmm.
So like this one, I mean, the green looks gorgeous, and that one that's on the screen at the moment, this 70s series, which are obviously going for that TV style case.
Right.
Look lovely.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think we've looked at the 60s, the orange dial one. I think we looked at that in one of our earlier shows.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I think that's when we were working through all the color dials.
Correct.
Until we got sick of it. So I'll queue up another one. We're going to be all over the place, but the next one I figured we should talk about. It got a little bit of attention last year because it was featured on a couple of Watchbox reviews.
Mhm.
And I know that Bill Sanders has been really into Roger Dubuis a lot recently. But did my link not work?
Maybe not.
Yeah, that's come up.
It's kind of. Oh no, my fault. I missed an N.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it.
So this next one is from the Monegasque collection, and this is really cool because it's kind of an old watch. It came out in like 2014, I think. So these are available for cheap on the used market, and it's available in steel. It's not crazy like the new Roger Dubuis, right? That a lot of people don't like. And if you look at the movements, if you scroll down, it's a really cool chronograph with a micro rotor. So it's,
nice.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool chronograph movement. Some of their earlier chronographs had, like the usual suspects. I think Lemania based movements that look like everybody else's high-end chronograph, right? Manual wind and all that. But with these ones, you have a micro rotor. It's a really cool watch. I know the case shape is going to be take it or leave it for a lot of people, but it's a cool chrono, and available for a lot less than MSRP at that point in time. So if you're looking for a great deal, that might be it.
It's hard to tell from the pictures. Is that steel or is that?
This particular one on the screen
gold?
is gold. Yeah, rose gold.
Okay.
But they made it in steel. The steel one is a little bit less contrast on the dial because it doesn't have the gold accents. But it's a pretty cool watch.
Yeah, definitely.
For watches and giggles, I don't think he knows art watch psi. So Bill Sanders is, in my opinion, the YouTube authority on anything horological. Watch art psi. Definitely subscribe to him.
Yeah, Bill is great.
Yeah.
And I see the audience has a lot of starting to come up with a lot of suggestions. So
Excellent.
that's cool.
Bill's great.
Yeah.
And I see the audience has a lot of starting to come up with a lot of suggestions. So
Excellent.
Yeah, that's cool. Bill's great.
Yeah.
And I see the audience has a lot of starting to come up with a lot of suggestions. So
Somebody needs to turn off YouTube.
Yeah, I think it was Watches and Giggles. I think he's having issues with his laptop.
And Rich Buddy says I'm wrong about that. I gotta disagree. Well, I don't know entirely, but he seems.
Well, look, Rich. Let's not bash Bill Sanders.
Whatever.
Bill,
I don't
likes to collect what he actually likes, and he's ended up with a pretty cool collection. So, it is what it is.
Yep.
So, I see a lot of Patek suggestions. I don't know. We can maybe look at some, but if we're going to go with Patek suggestions, I figured that before we look at all the audience suggestions, we could look at one that was released this week.
Yes.
Yeah,
most definitely.
Absolutely.
So I put the article in the comments. So this week, actually, Patek released 3 new watches, 3 expensive watches.
Is there any other kind of Patek?
Well, I mean, there's some, this one is 232,000 Swiss francs.
It's a mere
Wow.
drop in the bucket.
Yes. So yes, there are slightly less expensive Pateks.
So
But
that's a split second chronograph, isn't it? That's a beauty.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's really beautiful, this one. I think after the weekly calendar Calatrava, the Patek chronographs are really my favorite chronographs, and this one is just very, very beautiful with the enamel dial, the blue enamel dial, the split second, the Breguet numerals, the platinum case. It's a very, very, very cool watch.
Very, very nice. Hey, Neo. How's it going, man?
Hi, Neil. Are you well?
Hey, Neo.
Neil, you feel like jumping on?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a truly stunning watch.
No, I think he seems to be pretty busy.
I didn't realize.
Fair enough, Neo. Fair enough.
Yep.
I've got some saws that could do that in a minute.
Yeah. So even the movement, everything. I think this one is a really cool Patek. Expensive again, obviously, but yeah, it's a really nice chronograph. I mean, I do think some of their less expensive models are really cool too. Usually, I like to point to their cheaper chronographs, right? Given that you can get them for about the same price as you'd get for a very inflated Nautilus. This one obviously is not one of those, right? You can still get 3-4 inflated Nautiluses for the price of this one.
Sure. This is a Rattrapant?
It's a split second.
Okay.
So
Is this the first?
no, they've had split seconds before.
Yeah, they had a black dial 5170, didn't they?
Yeah, I think this is really the latest, with the newer model, the newer case and everything. And it's a cool size. It's a bit big though. It's 41. So for sure, as a dress watch, you'll always have people that say it's starting to get a little bit big, but
right.
I'm sure it wears nice.
Look at that movement.
Yeah.
It's stunning, isn't it? Absolutely amazing.
Yep.
Breathtaking.
Yeah, we've got Preston Luxury on. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, good to have you aboard, mate. Feel free to jump on in anytime.
Okay.
So let me. I'm sorry, I lost track of the chat. There were a couple of suggestions about Pateks as well. I'll find them.
Yeah,
after.
carry on with what you carry on with your flow.
So I think the next one we can take a look at. I'm sorry, my links aren't organized, so I'm just gonna verify the link first. And,
No worries, man. No worries.
so the next one I thought we could take a look at is one where so we often see all the different sides of the moons from Omega, right? The dark side, white side, gray side, and they're all very, very cool watches. They're ceramic. I personally think that they're for value. They're really, really good watches in the Speedmaster line, right? They obviously have a great movement, automatic movement. But on an alternative, and please don't look at that price that you see there as the price you would pay for this. I've seen it used for like in the 8,000 Canadian range, like 6,000, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a JLC master compressor. These were the kind of the last master compressors that they made, not with the old master compressor cases. These were made out of ceramic, and they do have the compressor crown on the actual crown, but the pushers aren't the compressor pushers. So a little bit less water resistance, but it's a really cool automatic chronograph in a ceramic case from JLC that you can have at a really cool price. They had some with blue accents, some with red accents. One version was slightly bigger with a GMT complication, but really cool watches.
How many did they make of these? Do you know?
I don't know. I know they're limited, but I don't think it means that much for JLC. Right?
It's probably about 1,500 or something, isn't it?
Could be. The thing about some of their limited editions, like this one, they made it limited in 44. Then they came out with like a 45 or 46, which was also limited. So is it really limited if every year these change it up and make more? So there's quite a few that are available out there. And so I think then we can jump back to the dressier side of things.
Okay.
And I know we've talked about this watch before. It's the Vacheron Constantin Historique Corne de Vache, which is it's really Patek-like, but it's really Vacheron's dress chronograph with their classic lugs, the classic lug shape. It did make the news quite a bit last year because they released it in stainless steel again, like they used to have it. And if you want the Lange style manual chronograph, something that's very classic, but with the Vacheron Constantin aesthetics, I think that's a really cool watch to go for. Now, this one's the platinum, right? They are cheaper than that usually, but it's a really cool watch, and it's a very classic manual wind chronograph movement. So
great.
Very nice.
Yeah.
By Compact's layout, very classic.
Yeah, this is really a cool alternative, I would say, to a Patek, right?
Yes.
It's very dressy, very nice.
And what size is this, NS?
I would have to check. I think it's in the 39 or 38.5 region.
Okay, so perfect dress size.
Yep.
Dress style watch size. Cool.
Yeah, it's 38.5.
38.5. Okay, right in there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just precious metals.
No, they do have it in steel. So
great.
Yeah, last year they released it in steel. It's not cheap in steel, right? You're still talking about, I think it's in the 40s US, so it's expensive. But it's a steel, it's a nice watch.
And this was a Lamania base?
Yes. They do have some changes from Vacheron, and if you take a look at the movement, One of the really coolest things about the movement is that that Maltese cross in the middle of the column wheel. I think that's a really cool addition, right? Because the column wheel is just a common column wheel, nothing special about it. But the fact that they put the Maltese cross in there is kind of fun.
Nice touch.
Very nice.
Okay, so since we want to cover some sports watches as well, let's look at this thing. Another watch that's had a lot of coverage lately. It seems a lot of people are getting 50 fathoms. Well, they make a 50 fathoms chronograph. Both in the standard 50 fathoms and also in the bathyscaphe 50 fathoms range.
Yeah.
So this would be more, I mean, it's pricey. This would be more an alternative to something like an Omega Seamaster chronograph. It's a cool watch. It doesn't have the same water resistance as some other similar chronographs. It's 30 bar, but I think unless you're actually going to go diving with it, I think it's probably good enough. And it's a really cool watch, and they do make it in the bathyscaphe range as well. I don't like it as much in that range, but it's a cool watch.
It gives you the option of the two, though, doesn't it? So that shows they're being flexible with the options. So, but yeah, it's a great looking watch. I mean, I love the 50 fathoms.
Yeah,
and to have the option of a chronograph is really nice.
And so the really cool thing too about the bathyscaphe, if you like that look, it's the same as with the normal 50 fathoms. The bathyscaphe will have the same movement, so it's not like they're shortchanging you right on the actual watch. So it's a really cool. And I think if you scroll down, I think you can see the movement Zippo.
There it is.
Yep. It's all the 50 fathoms have pretty interesting movements since they basically absorbed FPGA, right? It's cool movements. They're well engineered. I know they get a lot of flack for saying, "Oh, it's a dress watch movement." It's really a movement that's at home in a sports watch as well. So they make good stuff. So
I don't think I've ever heard of a movement being called a dress or not.
Well, a lot of people say that about the standard 50 fathoms, the non-chronograph, which is really a shame because it really is a good sports movement. But again, I think the 50 fathoms has, as much as it has a following, it also has people that like to hate on it because it's not a Submariner, even though I don't really see it as being a Submariner alternative. It's really different, but people get emotional about their watches. So, and speaking of watches that are sporty, we can take a look at a Tudor, and it's not going to be a blue Tudor.
Tell me you've chosen the steel and gold.
Yes.
They make a watch that's not blue.
Yeah, they do.
Wow.
Yep, I know, right? It's almost as if there was a coordinated YouTube marketing campaign the last 2 weeks. Almost, right? It's like, hey, look.
Just talk about the Black Bay Blue.
Yeah, you know what? This one doesn't get a lot of press coverage, and it should.
I think so. I love this one.
Yeah, it's a really cool movement, right? It's that movement. It's the same as that Breitling movement. It's cool. I personally don't like the faux rivet bracelet. I think if it didn't have that, it would be more appealing. But you have, you have screw down pushers. You have a screw down crown. It's COSC. It's not that expensive. It's a cool watch, right? Like I like to say, it's whenever you hear that only the Daytona has screw down pushers, this is one of the other 65 watches that has screw down pushers. So that is actually waterproof. But yeah, it's a really cool watch. It should get more press. I kind of find like that watch came out before Tudor had its day on social media, right? Before the Black Bay 58.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe a lot of people don't really know about this one, but it's a really cool watch.
Yeah.
It's available in two-tone as well.
I love the two-tone. I think it looks a lot nicer in the steel and gold, which is just a bit below. If you scroll down, you can see that on the left.
And this is the Breitling B01 movement in this.
Yep, it is.
I mean, it's funny comment, interesting. Well, not funny, but interesting comment by Orange Hand. He said the snowflake dial has doesn't belong on a chronograph because it blocks the subdials, which is an interesting point.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. No, I like the snowflake hands. I really like them, but I do understand on a chronograph.
Yeah,
I would agree.
It's going to block a lot of information for sure.
Yep.
And this is a nice looking watch too. My only complaint about it is that
it's wrapped gold.
It's wrapped gold. Yeah. It's not gold all the way through. Now the price reflects that it's wrapped gold, but if you're gonna have gold on a watch, you want it to be,
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I would go one step further and say, as nice as it looks, and I do get that it looks very nice, right? Gold on a Tudor is not the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Tudor.
I'd get it on the bund leather strap, like it's on below on the left.
Yeah. But again, right, you have to think about the price, the fact that you can, because it's not blue, maybe you can go into your AD and just get it, right? And not get on the waiting list and beg for it. This is a kind of cool watch that's not so expensive that you can just go out and buy, right? So,
I learned something about the Daytona, and now I'm looking for it everywhere I look. That they don't have symmetrical lugs, which kind of blew me away. If we look at them all pointed out, I never heard about that until yesterday, which I find odd.
So, since we looked at the Tudor, we could maybe completely switch it up and continue our tradition of looking at things of all kinds of prices.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go with the Lange and Söhne Datograph up down.
Oh, nice. Excellent choice.
Yeah.
I'll look at this one anytime.
For all, and there's a plan to this stream, right? For all the people that wake up in the morning and say, well, the decisions between the Tudor and the Lange, which probably happens all the time. Yeah, so I think this one, as nice as the dial is, and it's really known for its movement. and the 3D-esque architecture of it. This is again another alternative to that Patek that we saw. There is a flyback version. So it's a great alternative to the Patek. It's a great alternative to the Vacheron. The difference is this is a thicker watch than, let's say, the Patek. But the thickness does come with that movement, with that 3D like architecture where you see a lot of depth when looking at the movement.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool feature.
Yeah, there's not another watch that has a movement with such depth that I've ever seen. It's just absolutely incredible. If you guys ever get a chance to go look at one of these in person, it's amazing.
Now, why aren't they showing a proper shot of the movement?
I think you may have to expand. You have to click on the little plus, but even then, you're not going to get a super great shot of that movement. Which is it's funny because the Datograph is one of those watches that whose movement actually has a following, right? You have watches with the following, but this is one of those where the movement itself has its own following.
Right. It's absolutely amazing.
Orange Hand's got a good question for you, NS. He says, where do you stand on modular versus integrated chronographs?
That's a very good question. It depends, right? I don't think that all modular chronographs are created equal, because you do have some base movements, like let's say the Habring movements that were designed to have modules put on top of it. But usually a modular chronograph would kind of imply that when you engage it, right, you are putting more strain on the power consumption of the movement and the torque and everything else. So I would probably prefer an integrated chronograph, but I wouldn't necessarily be a snob about it. Right? If there's a modular chronograph that you really think is cool, go for it. But also, I wouldn't necessarily spend tons and tons of money on a cheap modular chronograph. Right? There are some good ones and some cheap ones, obviously. But yeah, it's always nicer to have integrated, just because it looks better. So.
Yeah, isn't it? I believe it's also a little bit, depending on the watch, it's a little bit more expensive to service a modular chronograph than it is an integrated one.
I think that still depends on how high-end it is, right? I think you'll still have some that are where it's fairly comparable. And Megan also has an interesting question, like who uses a chrono? A lot of chronographs are, go unused. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. What I like about the chronograph, and maybe this is just where I'm at in my collecting, but what I like about a chronograph is that it's a complication. It does make for a very nice movement, but it's not a complication you have to set. Right, so if you look at the Datograph, or if you look at the non-date version of the Lange, it's still a watch you can pick up. You can set the time in about 10 seconds, right? You just set the time, no date, no nothing, and you're good to go, but you still have this amazing movement. Whereas if it's a calendar complication or, a moon phase or something, either you leave it unset, right, and you just set the time, or you just have to spend like a bunch of time setting it. And if you have more than one watch and you're not keeping it on a winder, or you're not winding it every day, I think a chronograph is a good way to have a complicated watch that you can just pick up and just set quickly. So
True. I remember Neo saying it was his favorite complication as well because it was the one he used out of and all of the complications. It was the one he used most.
yeah, and Neo actually commented on that in the chat right now, and he said it's the only complication that allows you to capture a moment. So
Yeah.
very interesting way to look at it. So the next one we can look at is let me just. I'm sorry, I completely lost my link. So
No worries, man. No worries.
I'm really not organized today.
No problem.
You don't need to apologize.
It's not triumphant. Let's just put it that way.
I find chronograph is useful when you're grilling a steak.
Yeah.
All sorts of things like that in the kitchen, just you never know when it can come in handy.
Steak being the most important.
Yeah.
And
eating's always important, isn't it? So
Oh yeah.
And this next one is very good for when you're cooking a steak. If you have very, very, if your steak needs to be very, very exact.
the Chronograph. Wow, yeah.
But so I wanted to include this one because it's a really cool chronograph, right? There's a big story behind it where to keep it thin and give you that complication of hundredths of a second. They made it so that when you engage it, right, and when you stop it, the movement it slips. So that's the way of basically catching that moment, that split second. It's a really cool watch. It really follows the Jaune aesthetic, I think, for dials and hands. Yet it looks really, really original, right? There's almost no other chronograph that looks quite like this one. Yeah, it's a really, really cool watch. Really cool movement, and yet it's thin and has a good power reserve. So.
That's a good one, Orange. Yes. Don't use your chronograph when you're driving.
Yeah, true.
Yes. Yeah, that's the person outside checking your lap is the one that's supposed to use the chronograph, not the guy driving who should be keeping their hands on the steering wheel. So, yeah.
I caught a illegal drag race today.
Oh wow!
Video later.
Did you time it on your chronograph?
Yeah, I was just going to say, did you time that on your Speedmaster?
Did you run to them and said, my tachymeter says you were going?
I did. I didn't follow them.
Because that was your one opportunity this year, probably.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, no kidding.
And this is a rose gold movement?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, they used to be brass, didn't they? But maybe not in the Chronograph because that model wasn't made then. But
yeah, I'm not knowledgeable enough about Jaune to tell you if it was ever in brass.
I wouldn't have thought it would be. I would have thought it'd only been gold.
Geezer's in the chat. He might know.
Right.
Yeah, he's a Jaune man, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now, another way of handling, like fractions of a second would be, and I hesitated including this one because I talk about it all the time, and I think people are probably already rolling their eyes. And
is this no way? This is the NS something watch.
This is your watch.
This
we
is
know
your
what it
watch.
is, and it's your watch. And
we
want to hear you tell us about it.
Nobody's rolling their eyes. Take my word for it.
So let me try to find one. Unfortunately, on their site they only have the new let's look at
I was hoping that you weren't going to exclude this, that you were going to include this.
I
Absolutely.
didn't. Yeah, I didn't know if I should because I've talked about it so many times.
It needed. That's why it needs to be on.
Exactly.
I mean, we can look at the newer model that is partially skeletonized, so we can pretend that it's a new watch.
Okay.
We haven't looked at before. But yeah, it happens to be like my current grail. It's really one of my favorite watches.
Oh, look at that.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. It's and this is this actually is a great segue to Orange Anne's question that he had before about modular versus fully integrated. Here's we just looked at two chronographs, the Santigraph before this one, and then the Geomag. We just looked at two chronographs where not only are the chronograph a fully integrated part of the movement, but the entire idea of timekeeping, accuracy, and power consumption is built into the movement, right? And in this case, with the Geomag, you have the twin barrels that aren't really in series or truly in parallel. Each barrel is used to power something different. So one barrel powers the timekeeping aspect, and one barrel powers the chronograph aspect. So when you do turn on the chronograph, there's a separate power source for it. Yeah, it's a great movement, and I think used, although I don't think that new, they're very expensive for what they are, but on the used market, they definitely offer
Great bang for buck.
the most value, I think, for that type of eye-hand chronograph, I think. Yeah.
And as you wind the cram back and forth, you're actually winding both of the barrels at the same time.
Yeah, so you can do it two ways, right? You could just wind one direction until it's fully wound and then wind the other direction. But the way it's recommended is you just wind it by twisting it back and forth. That's enough to wind it. So that way you're really winding two separate power reserves.
So we've got a 1/6 of a second meter the bottom subdial at 6 o'clock. That registers a 1/6 of a second.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
So that's your 1/6 of a second, and then one side of the watch is the chronograph, the other side of the watch is the timekeeping.
Yeah.
And what's really cool here, if you like running seconds, central running seconds, which I really, really do prefer on a watch. I have nothing against small seconds. I think it's nice, but I like that big seconds hands.
So do I.
Yeah. So here you actually have both. You have the central seconds hands, and you have the chronograph seconds hands. And the way they do it on all the Geomat, the chronographs at least, is that every hand that is related to the chronograph is one color, and every hand that's related to timekeeping is in another color. And what's really cool about having those two central seconds hands is that when you turn on the chronograph, one hand is following the other, right, perfectly. So it's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's really well thought out the way they've done that, isn't it? The way they've done the two different colors for the two different dials and hands. It's just really clever, really well thought out.
Yep, and it's 445 parts and 50 hours.
Wow.
Yep.
Amazing. Again, I encourage anybody, if they get a chance to see one of these watches up close, to do so, because they're amazing.
Yeah, if you've seen a non-Geomat or non-Hybris Mechanica GLC before, forget anything you've seen. Once you get to those two lines, the Geomat and the Hybris Mechanica, whether it's the circular watches or the Grande Tradition watches or even the Reversos. It's night and day, right? The finishing's not the same. The quality's not the same. It's really a different league. It's it's like a Patek or an independent. It's a really different league of watches.
Yeah, I was floored. The AD near me has a non-chronograph version of this watch, and it's absolutely stunning. I've posted pictures of it on the Discord. Truly amazing, and the chronograph version's even better.
Yeah, I think the one that you posted, that's the Quantième Lunaire, right? It's the moon phase, and it's a little bit more expensive, but they make one of those with an enamel dial with like the sort of hand painted numerals on it, and it just it looks so beautiful. It's an amazing watch.
Yeah. Thank you so much for not excluding this one.
Yeah, definitely. We needed to see this. I mean, I've never seen one of these in the metal, and I'd love to.
Yep.
Look like a stunning watch.
So the next watch we could look at is one that we've looked at before, and it's a different price range, going back down to reality. But it's the watch that to me begs the question, why are we seeing all those all that enthusiasm? But again, I think there's YouTube enthusiasm and there's real enthusiasm, like that Breitling reissue, and a lot of these Breitlings or old like military style reissues.
The 806, I think it was. Wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, thank you for bringing this one up, because this was on my list.
Yep. And to me, like these watches are the reason why you shouldn't be looking at the Breitling, right? Because why look at the Breitling when you could get one of these? And don't look at the MSRP, right? On the used market, you can get really nice ones. I know a lot of them, the bezel gets scratched up a lot, but they are available in good condition. And what a watch. You get tons of watch.
I agree. This is one of my favorite chronographs, one that I've had my eye on for a long time. Eventually I hope to have one in my collection. It's just classic. It's a sports watch. It's a dress watch. It's close to perfect in my eyes. I just love this watch.
Yep, and don't get like don't get caught up in some of the prejudice about this watch, right? You don't have to go for just a simple Type 20. You don't need the bracelet. The Type 21, Type 22 are great watches too.
Absolutely.
They're really good watches.
Yeah. I've tried all three of them on, and they're all amazing. This is one of the only watch, other than a pure dress watch, that I would not get it on the bracelet. I would get it on the strap. I know that's breaking the cardinal rule of always buying it on the bracelet, but I think this thing just looks so much better on the strap.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with getting it on the bracelet if that's what you want, but to me it's the same as the older style Breguet Marine before the newest watch, where they put in like sort of the integrated bracelet. So the old style Marine and this, again, nothing wrong with the bracelet. If that's what you want, get it. But I caution you, the bracelet is nothing amazing.
Right.
If you spend a lot to get the bracelet, great. But it's not a Rolex bracelet, right? You're not necessarily going to feel like, oh yeah, that's an amazing bracelet, amazing quality. These watches were made to be on straps, and they look great on a strap.
And like what you said before, NS, if you hunt around on the used market, you can get a Type 20 in good condition for a really good price. I'm talking, $5,000-$6,000.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, and they're not so rare that you have to jump on the first one that you find.
right, you can be particular about the one you want.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
One right there looks like an Omega.
The one with that different, it's that one is a different type.
Different bezel, hasn't it? It's a Type 21, that one.
Another thing that looking at that watch and its description makes me think of this watch. Also, the really cool thing about the Type 20 to Type 22 family, they're available in a lot of different metals too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like a lighter titanium watch, you can actually get this in titanium as well. So it's a cool thing.
I think it looks really good on the bracelet there.
Oh, look, there's really nothing wrong with the bracelet, right? It's just, I think I've seen some people pass on really good deals on really cool Type 20s that had like a perfect bezel and everything just because they wanted the bracelet. And if you really want the bracelet and you find one at a reasonable price, you can always go. This is not a Rolex, right? You can always go to the DAD and buy the bracelet.
Right.
It's going to be a little bit expensive, but you can get it. It's not like something that's impossible to get. So.
Yeah, I just love this watch, and there's so many watches that take their cues from this watch.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And this is one of those watches where, okay, I understand it's not like the really, really classic vintage one, right?
Mm-hmm.
That didn't have Breguet written on it, that had the smaller bezel. Yeah, those are $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in great condition.
Right.
But taking that aside, right, the Type 20s that you can get for a good price they're like the original, right? These other ones that take their cue, as you say, from this watch are the sort of like lookalikes, right? Here's the watch where at a good price you can actually get the original. And I shout out to the guy pretending to be producer Michael again. Great to see you. You're often here. So yeah. If you ever meet the real producer Michael, ask him where he gets his shirts.
And his shoes.
Yeah, I mean, I was being polite, Thomas. Yeah.
Anyway, we've segued off. Yeah, back to the watches.
And I will gladly take this over any Jacob & Co.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, back to the strap discussion. I think they look great on the straps. Personally, I think you're right, Blue Shirt. There's something about these watches on the straps that they match up with the dial. They look classic, more classic on the straps. I think they would have originally been dispatched to the pilots on the strap.
Right. On a strap, right. It's a pilot's watch. Pilot's watches are going to be issued on leather straps.
Sure. I think a big part of that is the lugs, right? And the lugs are made to look good on a strap.
Mm-hmm.
It's like wearing a vintage sub on a NATO or a strap. I'm not saying it looks bad, right? A vintage sub always looks nice, even a modern sub. But those watches were really made to look nice on a bracelet, right? Those lugs are made to sort of join up with a bracelet. Where with these watches here, they were made to work with a strap, right? So it will always look good on a strap.
Mm-hmm. And I know there are people that look down on their noses on this because it's a cam actuated chronograph and not a column wheel. And I just, if you want a classic watch, this is hard to beat.
And that's actually That's a very good point, because a lot of people will look at that as an older kind of movement, right? They'll look down on it. But then there's all that enthusiasm for the Speedmaster,
Right.
and there's nothing wrong with the Speedmaster, right? But it's not like the Speedmaster, the 861 or 1861. It's not like those movements are known for like to be like an amazing chronograph movement, right? By by all for all intents and purposes, they're kind of like a discount chronograph movement, right? They were the cheaper alternative to the 321. They have all kinds of like weird quirks where you start it and the hand jumps and all that stuff, right? So and again, nothing wrong with the Speedmaster, but you can't really blame this kind of watch for having that kind of movement.
And to answer Rolex's comments, we're not looking at fake Daytonas. This one came a long time before the Daytona, so we're looking at originals.
And then what also bothers me is people say Breguet, it's not the original Breguet, it's it's a Phoenix brand, and you know what, to me this watch just is a timeless classic, and you can't argue with what Breguet is producing, because it's top-notch stuff.
Absolutely gorgeous.
So maybe for the next watch we look at something completely different, both in price and shape and pedigree
and everything.
And so we can't have a stream without talking about a de Bethune, so
absolutely
we'll do that. So obviously different price here, different look, but the classic, de Bethune doesn't have many complications on their watches, right? They do a lot with moon phases. Usually, they do have the digital, which is the digital display. But this is a cool chronograph, not unlike the Moser streamliner, where everything is at the center, right? All the hands. But it's a cool watch. It's a DB28 with a chronograph complication. So I thought it's kind of cool. Floating lugs and all. I know it's not for everybody.
It's gorgeous. I love it.
So it's a different watch, right? Considering this is more like, I'd say, an alternative if you're looking at a platinum Daytona or something like that, right?
This is very unlike many of their other watches, which are open dials.
Yeah, this looks a lot more like, is it the DB25 series? This looks a lot more like their series of more classic looking dials.
Exactly.
Right? But look at that, the numerals, how they're machined and finished.
Yeah, wow.
And again, all their titanium, heated titanium.
Right.
And you see those hands, right? And the numerals, it's not blued, heat blued, right? It's perfectly heated to get that perfect,
right?
Almost blue, almost purple. It's just,
nobody blues the way they do, the way de Bethune does.
Yeah, it's their thing, and they've really embraced it. The way they do gold, yellow tones, right?
And the way the calendar dial is inset, I really like that.
Yep,
that's lovely. Yeah, you really brought me around to de Bethune.
Yeah,
you really put them in my head, and I've looked at them a lot more since.
And I encourage, again, anybody who has not experienced these watches in person to do so and give them a chance, because they are truly impressive once you put one on your wrist.
Yeah. And they do lose quite a bit of value from MSRP on the secondary market. Unfortunately, they don't lose enough to buy one. So, but I don't know. Maybe if who knows? But I doubt they're going to lose enough for me to buy one. But yeah, they're really cool watches. Yep. There's it's a company a lot of people discount, like they're like out there like a hype watch or something, but they're liked by a lot of people that are heavyweights in the industry. So yeah, they're really good watches and good movements. Really, there's a lot of engineering behind this company. So
Do you know what that subdial is in the middle? This is not a date. I thought it was a point a day. Is that a minute, an hour counter, or
that's a good
a
question.
minute counter?
Let me look it up. See, I should be prepared. I should know this.
That's okay.
No pressure. I was just thinking
it's 24 hours for the counter.
In the center?
Yeah.
Yes. So it basically counts it as a 60-second, 60-minute, and 24-hour chronograph counter.
Wow.
Duly noted, Megan.
Yeah,
We'll get working on that.
We'll remember that. We'll get saving.
And don't worry, whoever's called Rolex, we're gonna look at a chronograph later that you can swim in, and unlike a Daytona, you can actually use the pushers while you're swimming. So for all of you Rolex people that seem to always be swimming with your watches, we have a watch for you coming.
All right.
So yeah. Because when I swim, I use my chronograph. When I take my shower too,
All the time, don't you?
All day long.
You know what? I think Rolex is one of those people that really reads the shampoo and conditioner bottle and really needs to know how long they let the conditioner in their hair. So we have the watch for you in a second. It's coming up. So the next one is a diving type of chronograph from JLC again, but this is their more vintage inspired deep sea chronograph. They had a couple of different variations of this one, but I thought I'd bring it up because it's another vintage inspired chronograph. Great movement. It's again the 751 movement, right? So column wheel. Definitely a sport watch movement, rugged, and it looks nice. And at some point, you could get deals on these. It's a little bit harder now because it's quite a limited production watch, but it's a really cool, really vintage looking.
Yeah, I agree. What an amazing JLC this is.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And if you like the JLC chronographs, I mean, we won't have time to look at all of them, but I encourage you to look at the older master compressor with the more classic master compressor case, and also in the same line as Geezer's
Navy SEALs one.
Yeah.
The Navy SEALs master compressor.
That's stunning.
Yeah, it's a stunning watch. So here you see it next to the original deep sea watches. They had a deep sea alarm back then. Really cool watches.
Yeah, so that was a Memovox deep sea dive, was it?
And 73 MAF, you used to be able to get deals on those. They still come up on forums from time to time. I wouldn't say by people that don't know what they have, but by people that want to move them quickly. And yes, Rolex, you can swim in this one if you don't push the pushers. So kind of like a Daytona, right? You can swim in it if you're not using the pushers. But why don't we look at, since swimming with your chronograph seems to be a very, very important thing to our audience. Let's look at one where you can use the pushers.
Okay. Well, while Flippin's pulling that up, what are we talking about on the used market for one of these NS?
That's a good question. I'd have to look it up. I haven't looked at it for a long time, but when you used to be able to get deals, you could get them in, I think, the 10 region. I mean, I saw some of those, but this is going back a few years. You used to be able to get them for 10 Canadian. People that bought them at those prices at a great deal. But let me see. Can pull it up. Right now, you're looking at you have some for 12. You actually have some for around 12 Canadian. It's the more vintage looking one though, with the orange loom. But you can get even the model we were looking at for around 12 Canadian. There are still deals on them. You just have to understand that it's not a $5,000 watch.
Right. Gotcha.
Yep. And here is the Streamliner.
Yes, this is the NS something number 2 watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is a great chronograph. It's I think in the future people will look at this. In the future, I don't mean like 1,000 years, but in a decade or two, I hope that people will see this as a significant watch.
Yeah, definitely. I think they will. Yeah.
Because this will have been the first big collaboration that Moser is pushing, and they had their second collaboration with MB&F. And when they released this watch, Edouard Mélin said that he wanted to keep doing these kinds of collaborations with other companies in the industry and other independents, right? And so this is their collaboration with Agent that made the movement. It's the same movement that you have in the Singer and the Fabergé watch, but this is a little bit different because the movement's a bit modified for Moser to be a flyback chronograph and to have everything remaining in the center. So when you look at the movement, what's really cool about it is that it really looks like a super high-end manual chronograph, even though it's automatic because the rotor is hidden. But this is an Agent chronograph. It's a masterpiece of engineering. It's beautiful. I know the cushion case was a little bit divisive, but it's the movement is it's amazing.
Yes.
It really is.
Absolutely. And to answer Rolex's question, this is swimmable.
Yes, this is swimmable. And not only is it swimmable, but you can actually, it's dynamic. It's 100-meter water resistance, but dynamic water resistance, meaning you can use the pushers underwater. So it's, you can swim in it and time yourself as you're swimming. And Rolex, when you're applying your conditioner, and it tells you need to let it set in. It's the perfect watch for you.
With no fear of using the chronograph in the water.
Yeah, and it's a flyback, right? So if you want to time two things, right, and you're timing laps and you're swimming, it's basically perfect for you.
Well, you're supposed to lather, rinse, repeat, right?
Yes, that's Yeah, I think you're supposed to use it twice, right? The conditioner. So
That's right.
So this is the watch for you. But look, all kidding aside, it's a beautiful watch. The functionality is really cool. The movement is great. It's just I know it's not cheap, right? It is expensive, but it's one of those watches where I think you're getting a lot for your money, and it's a great collaboration. One of the first of many, hopefully. But it's really cool to see an independent collaborating with another independent and coming up with something like this, not just, a weird color scheme or just putting somebody else's logo on your watch or something like that.
Yeah, this is an amazing watch. Absolutely. No, I love the movement. I love the bracelet. It's a pity it's so expensive and that they only made 100 of them.
Yeah. Well, Orange Hand, flipping, he's a modest guy, but he has another channel just all about shampoo. You can Google that. He's actually quite well known in the shampoo world. But,
I'm a beauty guru as well.
See, that's how he keeps that hair so shiny. I really hope that they make they've said that the Streamliner is going to be a line, right? So I hope they have only, and it would be a really cool watch to have your perpetual chronograph in. And I mean, how amazing would it look with a Vanta black dial? Right?
Definitely.
Yep. So, our cool chronograph.
Right. So yeah, they've been hinting that this will be there'll be probably a three-handed version of this. There'll be a GMT
sure.
down the line.
It was a prototype for other models, but what I've heard is it's going to take about 4 or 5 years for them to develop a three-hand off from this.
Yeah, I think Moser is one of those companies that tries to do slow and steady. Right? So you might be right. Although a lot of their latest editions have sold out very quickly. Like the whole MB&F collaboration, right? Like first week it was sold out.
Right.
Both their version and the MB&F. If this one sells out quickly, the Adventurine dial moon phases sold out quickly. If they keep selling out this quickly, they might move on to other projects. So you never know. And before we move on to another watch, when this came out, right, one of the things that every single reviewer commented on is, how a lot of chronographs, when you stop them, right? The hand doesn't necessarily always stop on all of those little, sub indices, right? They're really just as an approximation, but the printing on the dial was designed so that as the hand is ticking, right, it hits every single one of those indices and sub indices exactly on it, right? Which is something that you almost never see on a watch. So it's really cool.
Hello, James.
Beautiful watch.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey,
Yeah.
James.
Hey, are you okay?
Yeah, good, and you?
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, sorry I'm a bit late. I had some work emails and stuff to catch up on.
No worries.
Worries.
So how is everyone? Are we all well?
Yeah.
Yeah, all good.
Checking out a lot of chronographs.
Yep.
Cool. My favorite subject.
Good. Hopefully you like the next one. I think Thomas likes the next one that I put into the chat. And this one is really cool because if you look out for a deal, you can actually, if you're very patient, can find a deal, you can get better than the price on this one, obviously. This is the older Vacheron Constantin mount collection. You know, the mount nowadays is only their style watch, but they used to have a whole line. And the way it worked was basically it was the mount style lugs. They had a whole look to them. So this is a lot like the chronograph, right? It doesn't have the nice Maltese cross on the column wheel, but it's a similar movement, except that you can get them for a lot cheaper price on the on the secondary market, even though the case size is modern, right? You had some that were slightly smaller. They had a variant that had a hunter case back. Sorry, a case back with a cover.
Yeah, sure.
Really cool watches, great finishing, really cool dials.
Yes.
Ornate lugs that you'd expect from Vacheron Constantin, but cheaper pricing on the secondary market. So this might be an opportunity for somebody to get one of these watches at a more affordable prices. I know it's relative, right? But the price you do see on the screen right now is, that's the higher end of these watches. You can get them for cheaper.
Right.
They're really cool watches.
Yeah. Again, Vacheron is always overlooked and underappreciated in my book. I really enjoy their watches. Look at that movement. That is stunning.
I love Vacheron. I'm a real Vacheron fan.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's what's really cool about this one too is the movement is not huge, it's not minuscule either. But even though the case extends quite a bit around it, they didn't put like some sort of weird spacer right in the back. It's really well done, well executed, and the lugs are really cool. It's a really cool watch. And then I thought, we're almost at the 2-hour mark, but I figured we could look at some really oddball reverso chronographs.
Sure.
There is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are two reversos that some I don't want to say reverso purists, but maybe reverso snobs like to hate. But they're not your typical classic reverso, right? The first one is the Squadra. So this was JLC's attempt at making a sport version of a JLC Reverso. Now it's not for everybody's taste, but if you look at this watch, it's first of all it's automatic. You have a big date, you have a chronograph function, and you have an exhibition case back. They do have a version with a GMT as well, with a black dial that might appeal more to people. They even have a version with the similar bracelet to the Navy SEALs bracelet, where it's metal covered in rubber. It's a really cool watch. And so the thing about the Reverso Squadra is because it's hated so much, there are amazing deals. Like this price that you see right now is really high for one of these. You can get one of these for around 4K US easily, right? Asking price. That's before you negotiate before you try to get a better price. And if you scroll down a little bit, flipping and look at the movement, like the other pictures, it is an automatic movement with a rotor, but you get the exhibition case back. It's a cool, fun watch that can be had at a bargain. It's not for everybody. It's not a classic Reverso, but I think it's a cool oddball.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm usually not a Squadra fan, but this is a very interesting watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not a Squadra fan, but as you said, you just pointed out the obvious, haven't you, Dennis? I mean, if they're not popular, they'll go down in price. So a great proposition for anybody looking for a Jlc Reverso chronograph.
Yep, and the other one on my list is the other unliked child in the Reverso family, and that's the Grand Sport, which again a lot of people don't like. It is a lot more classic Reverso esque type of watch, but the difference is the sort of integrated, if you can call that integrated beads of rice bracelet. So that's probably the part of that Reverso that is the most controversial, I would say. But the really cool thing about this chronograph is you see at the bottom right where it says arrêt, that's where it tells you if the chronograph is running or not, because the chronograph complication is on the reverse side. So if you look at the reverse side, there you have the actual chronograph.
Wow.
With, by the way, retrograde minutes. So you have your seconds and retrograde minutes. So there's a lot of stuff going on in that watch. And this one is priced pretty expensive, but it's the one that has the nicest pictures. That is definitely not what you should be paying for the watch. But it's a cool oddball Reverso if you're looking for a neat oddball chronograph.
Yes, definitely. Oddball Reverso is a good way to describe that. But definitely interesting.
So yeah, that's I had a few more like the Royal Eagle, the Vacheron Royal Eagle.
That was on my list too. If
Yeah.
you want to pull that up, let's pull that up. We got a couple more minutes.
Yeah, and I think I actually have a link for it. I'll find it.
I'll just posted a link. Rich Buddy wanted to know your opinion on the on this Centigraph.
Oh yeah, the other Jaune chronograph. So yeah, we can take a look at it. I think that's a really cool. That's a really cool watch. I think unfortunately people kind of misunderstand the Jaune Sport line. Right? It's not designed to be a sport hype watch. It's designed to be a more everyday wear Jaune. And Paul actually talked about why he came up with the line spa line, so a sport line of watches. And he said it's one of his good customers one day said, "Hey, I do sports," right? Which probably meant like the guy went on a walk once in a while or something. But he said, "Look, I do sports and I'd like to wear one of your watches while I'm doing sports," right? And I don't know what that means. That's what he said, right? So who knows what that meant? and that's how he came up with this line. So this is not designed to be the next Nautilus or AP, right? It's really designed to be an FP Jaune that you wear, more casually. I think it's a really cool watch. You do see some of the older ones at pretty good prices. If you want a Jaune, it's not a chronograph, obviously, but if you want a Jaune line, a spa at a good price, the older black aluminum ones that had a rubber bracelet, rubber band, are available at pretty cool prices. I think it was the Line Spa Octa, I think. But you can get them. Look, I like Jaune a lot, so I might be, I don't know, I might be biased here, but I really like his sport watches.
This rose gold version, Rich Buddy's looking at, so he's thinking about adding this to his collection.
Yeah, it's a cool watch. It's definitely not what people think of when they think of Jaune, right? They think more of the dressing pieces, but I really think they're cool. And this one is a cool complication. I think it's a neat watch.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, that movement is...
Yeah.
Yeah, is that not amazing?
Yeah.
Absolutely stunning.
Mm-hmm.
And the hands, I got to agree, Rich Buddy. Those are pretty damn awesome.
Rich Buddy just put something that as soon as I saw that watch sprung to mind. Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, with the hands in that. Yeah, look.
I think the entire vibe of the watch has a bit of a Tim Burton theme going to it. I can fully see it.
Yeah, look, when you're taking a picture of a watch, right, and you need to be able to showcase the logo and everything else, there's just it's almost as if that's the only way that the hands can be on the watch.
Well, we were saying earlier on that snowflake hands didn't belong on a chronograph. I'm sure these hands are much more appropriate.
Yeah, agreed.
Look, I'd say I know I've been on some of your I've listened to some of your streams before, Rich Buddy, when you talked about seeing that whole line at your local boutique, and look, I think it's they're great watches. If it's something you can get at a decent price, I think they're great watches.
Have you guys covered the? Sorry, obviously I joined late. Have you guys covered the Speedmaster this evening?
No, that we were starting out. The gist of this was choosing chronographs that were not there. There's this lots of different discussions are always. It brings up the Daytona, the Speedmaster, the El Primero. We were going to do something out of that. Besides those, 3, 4, or 5 most popular ones. Exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of Speedmasters, though, and maybe we can bring up the Royal Eagle right after this, but
yes, please. I think it was on my list.
Yeah, I think one of the we should bring up, since we just talked about the Speedmaster. This is one that I like to bring up all the time, because and maybe I shouldn't, because then what I'm about to say won't be true anymore. But I think this is one of the vintage Speedmasters where there are still deals on them, and they were a limited production run, and you can still find some cool ones in great shape. And that's the Speedmaster 125 that a lot of people don't even know exist.
Right.
Yeah, the 125 is great.
Yeah, we talked about this a couple of times.
Yep.
This came after the Speedmaster Mark III, didn't it? I think. It was to mark the 125 years of Omega, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It came out in 1973. It was for the 125th anniversary of Omega. Again, limited production, fairly limited, right? By Omega standards, this is really limited. It's really offbeat. It's really
Nice integrated bracelet, hasn't it?
and it's a combination. It's almost like a combination of many of their models, right?
Right.
It's
Exactly.
It's like in sort of in between model, really cool offbeat, and I've seen some for ridiculously low prices.
Yeah, me too. On eBay, on places like eBay's, it's an automatic as well, isn't it? I believe.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, and the claim to fame of this model was that it was the first automatic chronograph that was chronometer certified. So this watch actually is significant historically, not just because it's an anniversary watch, but it was a first as well, right?
Yeah.
The first to be first that was automatic and chronometer certified.
I think the Speedmaster 3 was automatic, and that came just before it. But as you said, this one will be the first to be chronometer certified.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's really nice. What is this whole thing with Speedy Tuesday?
Just something thought about,
Yeah,
opposed to
Fratello
something-
watches started that.
Yeah,
something thought for a marketing ploy.
yeah, it was basically like started as a social media hashtag where, hey, Tuesday, let's everybody show pictures of your Speedmasters. It's kind of funny because now there are about, like, even though there's 7 days of the week, there are about.
Was that started by Theo and Harris?
No. It was the guys from Fratello, right? From Fratello.
Yes, what we're looking at. Fratello watches. Yep.
Yep. So the next one, let's. My God, I haven't even found my link yet. Oh wait, I have one.
Good call on the 125 NS.
Yeah, I figured it's. I know we said we wouldn't talk about Speedmasters, but I figure it's offbeat enough to show on this stream. But the next one on the Blue Shirts list is the Royal Eagle.
Yeah, I really like this watch.
Yeah, the Royal Eagle is the watch that doesn't get enough love. It's you can still get them at great prices.
That's Canadian too.
Yep. Yep. You can get them at great prices. It's basically the exact same movement that you would have had in the overseas of that era. Okay, so same chronograph movement, same big date. It's a steel case. They were available in gold. Word to the wise, though, if you want to know if this is an earlier production or later production, the later production runs, the two subdials at the top, well, in the middle, I should say, are sort of have a tunnel shape instead of circular. But yeah, it's the same movement that you would have had in the overseas. If you buy the chronograph, that is, because they did have a calendar complication one. And yeah, it's a cool watch at a great price. It was originally released as a Vacheron for the younger crowd at a more reasonable price, which is why they're such a good deal. But we featured this watch a couple of times, right, when we were talking about tonneau watches.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a great alternative to a lot of tonneau watches. And a little bit of trivia about that watch. We saw the mount before, right? It has the same type of lugs as a mount Vacheron. So right before they phased out the Royal Eagle completely, they actually introduced it to the mount line. It became part of that line. So that's why sometimes when you search for it, you might see it as a Royal Eagle or a Malt Royal Eagle. So, yeah. And Megan, thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you,
Yes,
Megan.
thank you, Megan.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was just going to go.
Megan.
I was just going to refer back to the Tono stream that we did, and say that this fits the bill perfectly, and it's almost a bit like the style of the Cartier Roadster as well, which is a Tono shaped chronograph.
Mhm. It doesn't have like a display case back, right? Here you see it without the case back. So
Yeah,
it definitely shows its age in some ways. But really this is not like you can't view it as like a discount Vacheron, like a lot of people see it, right?
Right.
Yes, the movement was not technically in-house, but it wasn't in-house on the overseas as well, right? This is a true Vacheron Constantin watch with a couple of complications, right? Chronograph and big date.
Right.
It's a really, really cool watch at a really affordable price. Well, again, right? I don't want us to sound like snobs every time we do this. I get it. It's not a $500 watch, right?
Mm,
But it's also not a $50,000 watch. So.
right. Right. The only thing that holds me back about this watch is that it has a solid case back.
Yeah, that's that is a drawback, right? Because it's still a pretty nice movement. It's just it's too bad you can't get to see it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you, producer Michael. I do try. French is actually my mother tongue, so I'm actually much better in French than in English. So.
Are you from Quebec?
Yes, I'm in Montreal.
Beautiful city.
Oh, thank you.
When you can get out and enjoy it.
So I think that was it for offbeat chronographs, and Orange Hand Daytona Dimanche. Could be something you could start.
I've just posted a quick another Vacheron, a very expensive one, which caught my eye.
Oh yeah, I actually I wasn't sure if we should show that one because in my list there are like 6 Vacheron. So I didn't want this to be like a Vacheron stream.
No, that's okay. They need to get more love.
Yeah, I was looking at this one, and it's a lot of money, but it looks stunning.
And they so this one is very expensive. They actually make a one that doesn't. They make one that doesn't have a skeletonized dial.
Yeah, without the skeleton.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that one is much cheaper. Well, much.
It's 30,000 less. Yeah, it's about $20,000. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really, really cool watch with a pulsometer scale. It's a really, really, I can't say enough how cool of a watch that one is.
Beautiful.
And there's a reason why it's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
it's such a lovely watch.
Yeah, to understand how much of a following that watch it has, right? It's priced at those prices, and it's wow, it's a bad sentence. Sorry. It still commands high prices, and it's not that big of a watch, right? This one's a 37, but that watch has a following, and the movement is beautiful.
Right. That is amazing. Good call, Thomas.
Very.
In that case, it's just it's the Medicus as a case that's just so quirky, right? It's not really a cushion case. It's really, really cool. It's a lot like their Quai de Lille case, same type of shape. But that's the one really, really cool thing about Vacheron is that over the years, they've had such amazing cases and lugs, not just your usual very classical dress watch type of case.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this. This is really something.
And just one note about how this watch is skeletonized. One of the things that's really, really cool about how they did that one, and that's not often done on watches, is they've skeletonized the cover over the mainspring. So actually where you were hovering over before, right? Yeah, that right there. So what's really, really cool, the original Ulysse Nardin Freak was the same way. It's cool when they do that because when you wind it, you actually see the mainspring tightened, right? So that's a really, really cool detail that you often don't see.
It's definitely a one-of-a-kind watch.
Right.
Yeah, good choice. I've never seen this.
And yeah, with the pulsometer scale, obviously, if you hit those first few numbers there, you have a medical problem. But yeah, very, very, very cool watch. I mean, you look at the movement. There's not much you can say, right? It's just so nicely executed.
Well, and then the
So is that your next watch, Thomas?
Wow, I've got to find $50,000 first.
They're tearing apart the couch cushion.
You and me both, Thomas. You and me both.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost there, right? I only have like 53,999.
I've only got about 51,000 to go.
Yeah. It's like I always joke about the Parmigiani Ovale, right? I just need to find one that's 99% off of retail. But then I think about it, I think it through, and I realize that I need to find one that's 99.9% off of retail, right? Yeah, that's a really nice watch. I'm glad you brought it up, Tom. It's really cool.
Okay, so Thomas has another suggestion here.
Yeah, I just have a couple of others. I don't know whether the chat had any. This was the I talked about CWC the other week, and this is going back to within a decent budget. This was the RAF Pilot Quartz Chronograph, which is £575. This is a 40mm watch. It's this is the updated version of the Ministry of Defence spec watch, which was issued to the RAF in small quantities, and also foreign and Commonwealth countries, which were marked BAF instead of RAF. In the 90s and early 2000s, it's got fixed bars for NATO straps and uses a Ronda 50-30 Swiss quartz movement. It's got running seconds at 3 o'clock and counting minutes at 9 o'clock and counting hours at 6 o'clock. It's not rated waterproof, but it's splash-proof. So it cannot be immersed in water, but it's coming from CWC, which supply a lot of the, or used to supply a lot of the UK troops. I thought it was a really nice, rugged and robust sort of chronograph.
Yeah, it's a cool watch. I remember you bringing them up. They had their more field
Yeah,
watch type. That was really cool as well.
watches. Yeah, it's true.
Hmm.
Neil, good job, man.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. It's you did it.
Yeah, as I say, it's a quartz watch, but that a lot of military watches are these days.
I like it, Thomas.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Nice loom shot there.
Yep.
James Kahn also brought up a good suggestion. The Breguet tradition, Chrono 7077. It's also a very nice one.
And the next one I put in the chat, which was, I thought, seeing as we are talking about Speedmasters, we can talk about the official cosmonauts watch, which is the Fortis B52, the Cosmonautis, which is a 42 millimeter Valjoux 7750 operating watch. The Fortis official cosmonauts range. I mean, there's the one in the middle there at the top, which is the
10% off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a cool.
This
That's
one, the official cosmonauts range, received their name because of the partnership between Fortis and the Yuri Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center in Star City, and also the International Space Station. And this watch has spent more time in space than the actual Speedmaster.
Right.
It's an amazing watch.
And Fortis is still an independent company, I believe.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's actually a big oversight on my part, not showing a 7750 movement. You know, that's the one movement that doesn't get a lot of respect.
Right.
And people look at a watch that's based on the 7750 and they look at the date and they discount it right away. But you know, the 7750 is actually a pretty important movement. It's a workhorse. In many ways, it helped the industry a lot right after the quartz crisis. And what's really cool compared to, let's say, the Valjoux 4100, compared to other watches, it was actually easy to decorate. So it actually ended up fitting well into the sort of like not super high-end, but kind of like mid-tier that a lot of mechanical watches try to fit in. Yeah, actually, it's a pretty cool watch.
Speaking of that, I'm going to slap mine on right now.
Awesome.
Which I never wear anymore.
Yeah, they do this one, which is the PM, which means the black dial. They do an AM, which is the white dial, which is a really nice looking one as well. Which was just below this one on the page. If you just go back
up top.
Just go back a page. Yeah, if you just go down the white dial one, this one's for orange hand. And pick this up. Pick this one out for orange hand. It's got all of his signature features.
Mm-hmm.
So it's exactly the same watch, but it's the polar version, you could say.
Right.
I mean, this being an automatic watch, they said could automatic watches function as well as hand-wound watches in space, and they say that the rotor actually works better in non-gravity situations, which is interesting. I mean,
Are those screw down pushers? Could we
Yes.
have found another yet another pusher that has
they
screw
are.
down pushers? I'm starting to believe, guys, that the Daytona is not the only one.
Wow, we've been on quite a journey today from Breguet to Fortis.
Yeah, and there's one last one which I put in the chat for you.
Breguet?
The Hanhart.
No, the Hanhart.
Hanhart Primus. I do a few different dial versions of this. I do a black and a blue, but I chose the Desert Pilot version, which is a nice beige version of this.
I haven't seen this watch before, but the lugs are kind of reminiscent of the older Breguet Marine.
Yeah,
Very squared off.
The lugs actually tilt. They're actually tilting in the same way as the Bethune lugs.
Oh, that's cool.
So the lugs actually tilt, and this is, so using a caliber HAN 3809 automatic, which is basically a Solita SW5 510. It's a contemporary take on the legendary pilot's chronograph that keeps Hanhart's distinctive red button pusher, which was probably intended to stop pilots accidentally resetting the stop time, because pilots would love and it had to be as big as possible. So it's a lovely looking watch. This
Very
is
different.
Obviously, is a Desert Storm version. Yeah, it's nice. I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
HBA wants us to bring up a spring drive. I'll just type that in for you.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
I don't know if it's been. I don't know if anyone's brought it up yet. Just on about off the beaten track watch. Has anyone brought up the Longines Spirit?
No, we haven't yet. I actually brought up that link that you posted in the private chat. The Longines chronograph that's been popular lately is that Big Eye, right?
Yes.
I haven't. To be honest, I haven't looked at the Spirit that much. I'm looking at it right now. It looks interesting. I mean, Longines really has been doing pretty good lately, but more in their heritage line. I think that's where they're putting a lot of effort right now. But yeah, this looks like a cool watch as well.
And we'll put that Grand Seiko next. Just gonna jot it down here.
I just think sometimes with Longines, I think you're buying quite a lot of watch for the money. Obviously, from a heritage point of view, you know, Longines has got to. I know modern Longines is different to the old Longines, but I think you're getting.
I cover a lot of heritage, I think, James. Yeah, they've got. No matter what people say about the new Longines versus old Longines, I think there's still a lot of heritage.
Yeah.
And they sell a ton of watches, right? I know they're not the golden boy in the YouTube scene or anything, but they make a ton of watches. Like remember, Thomas, when we had that stream where we spent a lot of time looking at numbers from last year, sales numbers, they sell like a ton of watches, because in the millions. I know they don't make the most money, right? They're not the biggest in value of their sales, but in volume, they're right up there with the biggest. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. The heritage line is very extensive. I mean, they've got a lot of watches in there, haven't they?
Hey guys, I'm back.
Hey, man.
I think the good thing with Longines on the secondary market, on the pre-owned market, is you get in a lot of what I certainly wouldn't be advising people to pay retail for these things. But as a second-hand watch, you can pick these up on eBay and Chrono24 for a really good price. I think you get a lot of watch for the money.
Yeah, even gray market, right? You don't even need to go all the way to a used watch. If you want a watch that's still brand new, you get pretty good discounts, especially the non-heritage. Like the new heritage ones are priced pretty low, and they're kind of hot right now. Even though you can still get a discount on them, these other less popular models in their line, you can probably get them with a very, very steep discount, or even steeper discount on the gray market.
Agreed.
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say. I see you're on Longines. Did you pull up what I put in the private chat?
I haven't yet.
Not yet.
Sorry, that was my fault, Blue Shirt. I brought this.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I put the big eye in the chat for us to pull up.
Yeah.
Because that's that's another classic looking watch that can be had for a really great deal.
I think Rich Buddy makes a good point here. He says, on a serious note, Longines is a great watch for a young beginner who wants to get in the hobby without the funds. I think that's true. I think you get in what looks to be a lot more watch for quite a low end price, especially if you're buying grey market or second hand. I think
Definitely, yes.
I mean, this watch is classically styled. You're getting a column wheel chronograph, and you can get this on the gray market for $1,700. I mean, you can't beat that.
No.
Yeah, and one thing here, I know a lot of people are act like snobs around watches, and will say a lot of things about these watches, but these are serious watches, right? It's not a watch that you're going to buy and you're going to regret if you're starting out, or for whatever reason you don't want to spend so much money. This is a watch you can buy and keep in your collection even after you buy like really, really expensive watches.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're cool watches.
Yeah, Orange Hands has a great point. The Big Eye is a GPHG award winner for the under $2,000 category.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we generally all have to save up for the watch that we really want. So, for the younger guys, have something like this to wear while you're saving up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because otherwise, if you're just saving up, if you're just constantly saving up to buy a Rolex or even an Omega or whatever, you could quite easily lose heart. You could quite easily get distracted by other hobbies. And I think this is it's a bit like Tag. I mean, Archie, he said it before. These brands get people on the ladder. They get people into the brand. They get people into the hobby at a relatively. I mean, the price of this watch is, it's the price of a set of golf clubs. Yeah. It's a good entry into the hobby.
Yeah, and NS made a great point that this is a watch that you can keep it no matter how high your collection is going. You can definitely keep this as a part of your collection because it's just a fantastic watch.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say, Longines in their heritage line, I'm not going to say every single watch in that line is a home run, but they've been doing really cool things with that line.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I put that. HBA was asking about the Grand Seiko, and I've put that in right at the bottom. Zippo.
Okay.
Which one's this? Sorry, the Grand Seiko.
Yeah, it's the SBGC 203.
See, I've got to get into Grand Seiko because I've always dismissed Grand Seiko, and I really shouldn't.
I have as well, which is pointless.
I think in my mind, when you're looking at these prices, I can't get the word Seiko out of my head, and I just think I always associate the word Seiko with a good value tool watch.
Yeah.
But when you're talking of this sort of money, other brands are springing to mind before I would jump to Grand Seiko, which I know is wrong because the Grand Seiko is a superb watch. Yeah,
I'm in the exact same boat.
Yeah, I mean, I am too. I've looked at these watches. I've tried them on. I respect them for what they are. They just don't do anything for me. But that's just me.
Yeah,
But it's all on the inside. I mean, you got to look further than skin deep with these watches. I mean, this is a spring drive movement, which is, I mean, pretty groundbreaking technology, and
absolutely,
it's you're paying for what's on the inside. I mean, I get what you're saying with you can't look further than the second letter of the name, the S, which is Seiko, and you associate that with cheaper watches, and I'm sure the majority of people that see the name do. And a lot of people, there's been a lot of debate about whether they should change the name, and whether they should call themselves something else. But they're sticking to their guns, and they're proud of it. And
I was going to say credit to them. Credit to them. They're proud of their brand, and they're sticking to it. So credit to them.
Yeah, as they should be. I mean, Spring Drive, it took them they started in the early 70s, and they worked on it until they perfected it until, the 2007, I think it came out. So they worked on it for a long time.
Yeah, and, whenever looking at Grand Seiko, always remember that the YouTube watch enthusiasts are only a very small part of the watch market. And the North American and European markets are also a small part of it, right? There's Seiko as a following, Grand Seiko as a following. There's a reason why they keep that name.
I think the problem that has always been with me with Grand Seiko is like that particular watch there is 8,800. At that price point, you're looking at really, really sort of you've gone past Omega Speedmaster, you've gone past the Zeniths. You're creeping up to the sort of Daytona territory if you can get one at retail, obviously.
But that's the biggest trap. It's the biggest trap that too many people that sort of spend a lot of time online thinking about this hobby fall into, which is comparing everything to an Omega or a Rolex, right? Or a Patek. You see that often, like as soon as you get to a certain level of price of dress watch, right? You hear, well, why didn't you buy a Patek, right? This whole, why didn't you buy an Omega? Why didn't you buy a Rolex? You could buy a Patek at that price. That whole thing it's really a microcosm of the world of horology, and you really have to free yourself from that type of thinking, right? There's so many things out there. Like you'll see people with Jaune, with like MB&Fs and all these things, and if you ask them, if you tell them you could have gotten a Patek at that price, they'll laugh about it. It's there's stuff. There are watches and there's horology beyond those three brands and beyond sports watches or, the stereotypical, dress watch that everybody makes. So you really have to think beyond those things.
And I think that's the problem. I think my mind is still not free of that type of thinking. I think that's why Grand Seiko has always been passed by me. I think I've always, and I've openly admitted it, that it's a naive opinion. It's a naive viewpoint that I have that I need to free myself from. And I've openly said, I've said it numerous times on my channel that I've got to do that.
Mm-hmm. And look, Junior Johnson really hits it on the head, right?
Yep.
You should buy a watch because you like it. Also, try to buy a watch that you can afford, because everybody needs curtains for their house. But that's what you should do. Buy something you like. Buy something you can afford.
That's it.
And then you won't regret it.
Yeah. You can't rush these things. Just take your time and stay within your means. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I think we've covered quite a wide variety of watches today.
Yeah.
As we do.
Flippin', you wanna call it? We're at the 2.5 hour mark.
Hey, everyone, give us a thumbs up, please, if you can. If you
Please do.
enjoyed the stream, give us a thumbs up, and we look forward to seeing you all again. And a big thanks to Ernest Something for his hard work and great contribution today.
And thanks to everybody in the chat, right? And I'm sorry, I know we always miss a lot of your comments, and we don't cover all of them. And I know we didn't get to all your suggestions. I'll say this: it's a lot harder than it seems to keep up with all the comments and everything. So, but please, we didn't try to ignore any of you. That is a great show and great participation from everybody.
Yeah, we try and cover, get everybody's comments in there. It's just sometimes it's harder to do that than it looks. But thank you, everybody. Thank you, NS, for all the work you put on this, and great suggestions from everybody in the chat.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I got to say, Showcase Watches, subscribe to his channel. And James, I very much appreciate you shouting out this channel as much.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you, James.
You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome.
It's been great having you part of the channel.
Yeah. No, thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you. All right, guys. Well, everybody take care of themselves.
Yep. And
Yep.
we'll see you next week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Take it easy.
Cheers, guys.
Peace out.